All right, good afternoon, councillors, staff, members of the press and Zoom attendees. Welcome along to this meeting of the Performance Policy and Partnerships Committee. I have an apology from Councillor Pottinger, and we also acknowledge both Councillor Abbott, the birthday boy, and Mrs. Coote are attending on Zoom. Would somebody like to move that Councillor Pottinger's apology?
There was an apology from Councillor Lush also.
Was there?
He's in Christchurch, yes.
Yes, I think he had a conversation with you.
He did too. That's
Yeah.
Thank you. He did last week. We'll add Councillor Lush.
Move those.
That's been moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded Councillor Soper. Put that all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. No items in the public forum, so we've got the minutes of performance policy and partnerships from June 14. Somebody wants to move those as true and correct. Reverend Cook and Councillor Crackett. New matters arising? If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Proposed road name for the Kennington Waimatua Road. Anybody speaking to that? Michael.
Thank you, Chair. I've got two reports up, which are both in connection to the road naming policy. Both of these reports are in accordance with the policy. That is the new policy that we have adopted as council. So I'll take both reports as read and open for any questions.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Reverend Cook.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I thought that we were supposed to see 3 alternatives, and I only see one name for each place. Is that the officers see 3 alternatives and then put the preferred one to us, or are we? I thought we were to see the alternative, but that might be my misunderstanding.
Through yourself, Chair, the policy is that 3 will go through the officers, and if they are suitable, will end up coming through to council with the preferred name as the core one. But in this case, there would have been one in the first one, and in the second one there are 2 that were rejected as part of that process. So there was only one preferred name and one eligible name that came through.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Good question. I'll take them separately. We'll deal first of all with the Kennington Waimatua Road. The recommendation is that 2 right-of-ways be named Dairy Way and Brunswick Way. Somebody want to move that?
I'll move that way.
Councillor Soper, seconded Councillor Amundsen. Questions or comments? Put the motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried, which brings us to Macquarie Street being renamed, the road being renamed or named Scully Place. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Amundsen, seconded. Councillor Kett. Questions or comments? If there are none, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Customer compliance, the strategic framework. Jonathan. Welcome along.
Kia ora. So I'll take the report as read, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillors, there are 2 recommendations as a part of it to get discussion underway. Would somebody like to move those? Councillor Scelt, seconded by Reverend Cook. Open for questions. Could set a land speed record. Don't want to get too excited. Lindsay, what was your record?
7 minutes.
I'll slow down. You can't say that. I can read lips. If there are no questions, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Sorry, Councillor Crackett, my apologies.
Just a really quick, quite trivial question. I remember we used to have we've got the VADE model now. It used to be EVADE. What did the E stand for?
Educate.
What's that?
Engage and
Engage.
Probably engage, I would say.
enable.
Enable.
It was also enforce and educate.
Yeah, that's the 4 E's. But it used to be EVADE.
Yep.
But I can't remember. Yeah, it is kind of irrelevant. Well, not irrelevant, but it's not going to be material to the report or the decision, but I was just trying to remember what the E used to stand for.
Good question.
It'll save on ink. Sorry, that's a Bert Munro
Oh, it
comment.
was interesting.
If there are no questions or comments other than that, then I'll put the motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Lucky you escaped, Jonathan. Thank you. Which brings us, Claire, to the pre-election report.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I've asked that it be on the agenda for your information only, and indeed in the hope that as a result of it being put on the agenda, that the media would see it and use it as an opportunity to promote the election. After all, as our Deputy Returning Officer has been quoted as saying, these are the wheels of democracy and we need people to engage to make it really work well for us.
I guess one of the points in commenting on it, Claire, is that if somebody was interested in putting themselves forward at the next election, reading this report is essential, because you can't go on hearsay or just an enthusiasm. Going in with some information is really useful, and a state of the play at the end of the term in the pre-election report is that. So the recommendations are that the report is received, and we've received the report for information. Councillor Soper, Councillor Lewis, comments? What that?
I just wanted to
sorry.
say how good it is to see that we're actually using the format that we use for the annual plan, and that so that people are becoming familiar with the roadmap, all those different things. We're picking it up, we're reiterating it, we're updating it where it's necessary, and I think that as part of our engagement and communication with the community, consistency is really important, but so is clarity, and I think this is both. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Councillor Crackett?
Thank you, Councillor Lalo. I also think that it's fantastic. Like we sit in this room and we partake in these decisions, but quite often it's really nice to, or in this report, it's actually really nice to see what we've achieved wrapped up in a bow. Like everything that we have accomplished. You hear the constant rhetoric of, oh, council hasn't done this, or we've stopped that, or we've closed this, or that kind of thing. But actually, there's a bit of a celebration of where we are at and the things that we do have planned, the things that we're working to on time, and the stuff that we're actually just about to open. Given that ICL, or we're having the opening for that, is incredible. It didn't even exist. Or the idea was really just being floated around at the start of the term, so it's incredible.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments?
Yeah,
Councillor Lewis and then Councillor Abbott.
Only a very quick comment, Chair. It might well take out one workshop on induction for the new councillors. It's quite expensive.
Councillor Abbott.
Now, my comment would simply be that I wish that we'd had this sort of information when I first commenced in local body politics. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful inception, and encourage people to read it, and just make the point that we now have a lot more information available to the general public. It's over to them to utilise it. Thank you, Councillor. We've had them for a couple of terms now, but I don't think they've been as easy to follow as this one. Exactly. I think the way that it's laid out is have been commented on is really useful.
Mr. Chair, I think
so
that
congratulations to those that formatted it.
Thank you, Councillor. Mrs. Hadley.
I think the then Minister of Local Government, the Honourable Rodney Hyde, would be very pleased to hear the comments, and I think that, as with many things, it's been an iterative process. We've made a deliberate decision this year to try and make it more readable, more relatable, to engage with the public in the name of better democracy.
Just having a Rodney Hyde flashback there. Your Worship, you'll relate with Dancing with the Stars. Yes, sir.
Yes, we were both dancing together. But I think one of the sort of issues that crops up at this particular time of the year is that it seems you get credit for things that you don't really, or just may have started or didn't really even plan, or and of course there's recipients that likewise that get benefited or extolled sort of kudos for things they haven't subscribed all that willingly to. And it's just one of the laws of the jungle, I guess, and it happens every time there's an election held. That process seems to continue.
Thank you, Worship. We've had the two recommendations moved and seconded. I'll put that now. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. That brings us along to the activities report. I'll go through each section. So who's up first? Richard.
Kia ora koutou. Take the report as read. Some highlights just to point out. Just the format of this report. We are doing a little bit of work behind the scenes, so the next time you see this particular report, be a little bit more consistency with graphs and tables. So we're wanting them so as you can easily find the information and actually compare a little bit between graphs, because we're all doing a slightly different approach, and it's time to do a bit of consolidation. So we're working on that. Close to year end, you'll see the library is maintaining its own. It's, apart from the COVID bumps and rises and falls that we'd expect, it's sort of ended up at the end point of where we would be within cooey of our target, so that's looking really good. Another point to notice is that under the museum, there would be a little bit more clarification going forward between what is the collections trust, the SMAG operations in terms of collection, and the museum redevelopment. So we're just going to separate that, still providing you with all the information, but it'll just be a bit clearer for you to find and know whose information is whose. Any questions?
Councillors, open for questions. Note in the report that, of course, congratulations to the building team with the IANZ accreditation. Is anybody actually able to answer a query that I have with the 37,000 in grants that went out for buildings under the city centre heritage funding? Is that up or down on previous years? Do you know, Councillor Amundsen?
Let me just. Is that for the earthquake strengthening reports?
Yeah.
So that comes through the Heritage Equip funding
Right,
that
so it's not
the council helped get access to for building owners across the city.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments about any of the items in the activities report?
Oh, I'd just like to make a comment. It's good to see that the phone's answered 97.2% times within 2 minutes. It's a lot different to New Zealand, which is 2 hours. So that's very, very pleasant. Yeah.
That's a short call.
I like the 30-second ones.
Thank you, Councillor Arnold. If there are no other comments, I'll look for somebody to move that we receive the report. Councillor Amundsen, Councillor Lewis, I'll put that all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. There being no other items in public, I'll move that we go into public excluded for the reasons as outlined to confirm the minutes of PPP from June 14.
Second that.
Before you do that,
You sorry, Councillor?
I just wondered under general business and the information we had from Rodney Tribe, is that going to be addressed?
About what, sorry?
Well, he sent us all an email. I can't quite access it at the moment because I'm not on Extra.
Right,
But
sorry.
some relevant points
It's not
that he
actually
made
an
about-
agenda item, Councillor, but if you want to raise it with the Chief Executive, she's happy to provide you with some clarification around it.
Okay, right. Comments are welcome.
Councillor Crackett?
May have actually, it's just general business as well, but may have actually, a question could have sat under the activities report. I wondered if we would have any, perhaps not, Steve's here, but if we'd have any idea of the numbers that came through for the reopening of the pool.
Yeah, so we will get some numbers on that. But the anecdotal thing, observation was incredibly well supported. There were lines out the door. The finance for the first week was through the roof. A huge quantum of memberships, which we won't know the full impact of that because that'll be a lot of people just renewing normally. So it won't be till next year that we get a comparison. But anecdotally, it looks really, really good. And we'll be able to have some firm figures in the next report that you see. But all in all, we're really pleased with the response and the people that came.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. You're right. It could have come under the activities report, but just remember that items of general business need to be raised first.
Yep.
So back to the going into public excluded. I'm happy to move for the reasons as outlined. If there's a seconder.
Second.
Councillor Soper, thank you. I'll put that all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you to those who've joined us on the live stream.